Hey Chaotic Crew, I'm back with another quick deck tech, and this time we're diving right into Modern Horizons 3. I thought, what's a really fun commander that was spoiled out of that set, and I gotta tell you, Nadu, Winged Wisdom, is pretty crazy, but I thought to myself when I saw it, man, it's really easy to play Nadu and not have friends anymore, right? You're just doing so many crazy things with that deck. I wanted to challenge myself and make a fun Nadu deck that you're not going to be hated for playing as. Now, I do want to let you know that when you pull this deck out at the table, there's going to be some people who have PTSD from playing Nadu against some other, people who built it without restraint. But we're going to show some restraint, and we are going to get right into it. Now, what does Nadu even do, right? Well, let's get into that. First off, flying 3/4 for 3 mana, so already great rate for a creature, and it has creatures you control. Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield. If it's a non-land card, then you get to put it into your hand. And it only triggers twice each turn. Now, this means each creature you control has this ability twice, essentially. So, equips activate this, spells that target activate this. A lot of different things can trigger Nadu, which makes it crazy. Typically, how this deck gets out of hand is you put in a bunch of cards that when land enters the battlefield, you create tokens, which gives you more targets for your equipment that can equip for free, or your targets for enchantments that put counters on your creatures. So that's sort of how it can get out of hand. I like to challenge myself. I was like, well, what's a way? I'm not getting a ton of free triggers off of Nadu. I'm not putting a super wide board out. Let's actually go into an interesting direction. Let's go Voltron, right? Let's go +1/+1 counters with Nadu, because that is one of the best ways in blue and green to target our own creatures by putting +1/+1 counters on creatures. So we have a bunch of ways to do that in this deck, and it's going to get out of hand in a casual way, but not enough to where you're blowing your opponents out and no one's having any fun, right? So no one wants that. If you want to check out this deck list, by the way, the link is in the description below, and let me know what you would like to add to the deck to make it more casual and less competitive, right? Because you can really make this a super strong deck. But getting right into it here, if you could tell, 2 birds with 1 card. We want to trigger our commander multiple times, right? And having 1 card that can trigger 2 different creatures at the same time, definitely helpful. So we have a bunch of cards here that can do that typically are putting counters on 2 creatures or moving counters from 1 creature to another, or it can just trigger our same creature twice in 1 turn. It's really kind of what we want to do. We have a few cards here that just put 1 single counter, but we get lots of value off of it. Cathedral Acolyte puts a counter on a creature that entered this turn, so you can play this turn 2, play commander turn 3, and then go ahead and trigger your commander. The biggest problem this deck has is, you're getting your commander out, and it might be difficult to trigger at the same turn it comes out because we're not playing in a super oppressive way, right? But that's okay. We've got lots of ways to give your creature +1/+1 counters. Trample, we've got Proliferate, we've got map tokens, Fight Rigging, a fun card too. So lots of fun ways to just put 1 trigger a turn here. And then we've got a lot of cantrips, right? We are cantripping a lot because we want to target our creature, right? Trigger our commander, and we'll get either a land or we'll draw a card, and then we'll draw another card. So if we're getting a land for these 1-drop cantrips, we're essentially getting a free draw card on these cards, which is nice, but a lot of times we won't get that. We also have Gnarlback Rhino, which whenever you cast a spell that targets it, you draw a card, so it kind of turns your spells that target Gnarlback Rhino into cantrips, which is kind of nice. Same with Season of Growth, similar there. We've got some control pieces, a couple of counters. Don't have too many in there, but just a few, because you always like to run a couple. You could add some more if you want. Repulsive Mutation, probably one of the best ones to put in this deck, because it targets a creature you control and it also counters a spell, and we're gonna have some big creatures, so it makes it fun. Aetherize is you might be a target here at some point, so kind of deals with the board a little bit there. Gargos, really fun, and makes it so that way when you target your creatures with spells, Gargos is going to be fighting creatures, so very fun way to remove creatures there. And then we do have 3 cards that kind of do pop off a little bit. They all 3 have landfall triggers that when they, land enters the battlefield, we get to target a creature we control. And so basically that's going to be a way of getting multiple triggers out a turn with our commander, but it's not going to do a whole lot, right? We're not getting extra creatures when the lands enter the battlefield. I've made sure to not put any creatures in that when the land enters, we get another creature. So we'll get a couple extra triggers off these per turn, but not so much as to become incredibly oppressive. And then of course this is Voltron-esque, so we're gonna make them big. We're gonna make the bird big. So Blackblade Reforged, a huge part of that. We're putting lots of lands onto the battlefield. Creeper Hulk can make a creature's base power 5/5 and give them trample, which is nice. We have Giant Growth. Giganomancer makes them 7/7s. Rancor to give trample as well. Tanzir Quandrix targets a creature when it enters, and then if we can buff Tanzir, it's buffing all of our creatures. Same with Unruly Krasis. So lots of fun targeting our own stuff and putting counters on them. Synergies here that I really like. And then we of course have protection. We're targeting our creatures when we protect them with these spells. So definitely very helpful, and especially because some people might have that Nadu PTSD, you want to make sure your commander is living. Then we do have a few ramp spells. You don't really need to ramp out a whole lot. A lot of our spells are 1 drops, 2 drops. As long as you have 2 or 3 lands in your starting hand, you're probably good. These are ramp ways though that typically target creatures, and then Incubation Druid just helps out because you're putting a counter on it anyways typically, and then it can tap for more mana. So definitely good there. And then only 34 lands, 35 with the MDFC we are running that can target one of our creatures, but not a ton of lands. You don't need it because the value is so low and you're going to be drawing into a bunch anyways. So really fun deck. Let's go ahead and play test it. All right, so first game here, we've got some good stuff. We have a turn 1 creature, a turn 2 creature. I think we actually might want to save Elusive Otter to be able to trigger our commander multiple times. We also have a couple other cards that can do that. We're in a really good spot here. So I say we can go for this and keep it, see how it goes. Turn 1, we get a 3rd land, so already we can play our commander on turn 3, which is nice. I say we actually, you know what? I'm going to say we go ahead and get the turn 1 Otter out, and then turn 2 we're going to do Cathedral Acolyte to make sure that when we cast our commander on turn 3 we trigger them. All right, turn 3 we get land commander, and then we will Cathedral Acolyte to get a counter, and so now we get the Nadu trigger to look at the top card. It's a land, so we get it on the battlefield for free. So if we just tap the lands we've played this turn, now we have 1 mana open. We could, if we had drawn into a cantrip, that was not 2 mana, we could cast that, but not bad here. We already ramped out, right? We ramped on turn 3, and now we're just, if our commander stays in the battlefield, which it's very much likely to do, we are going to be in business. Okay, we could target our commander with the Tyrite Sanctum. We could play this Aggressive Urge. We could Mutagenic Growth. We could band together to get 2 creatures. I say we could Orn Reef Ooze to target a creature, and then another one with Cathedral Acolyte as well. I say let's go for that. I'm going to tap... Actually, because we have no blue in our hand, let's go ahead and tap 3 for Orn Reef Ooze. We're going to counter on our commander, trigger. It's a land, so we enter the battlefield, tapped, scry 1. We can keep that on top. Sure. And then we will tap Cathedral Acolyte to put a counter on Orn Reef Ooze, and that'll trigger our commander, and we'll draw this Vines of Vastwood. We'll pay 2 life and cast Mutagenic Growth on our commander, right? When that triggers, we'll get a free forest into place. Now we have 2 forests, and we can go ahead and tap 2 and cast Vines of Vastwood on Elusive Otter to make it unblockable pretty much by a lot of things, and be pretty big, and that'll trigger our commander, and we'll get a free island for that. And that's a lot already, right? So we could have also played Season of Growth before those shenanigans. We'll probably do that next turn, right? So we can start drawing cards and refilling our hand a lot more with the cards we're casting, but already off to a fantastic start, and not super oppressive, right? We have 4 creatures. We get board wiped. You know, we're starting back from scratch, so not super oppressive here, not a ton of landfall shenanigans, but still powerful and gonna do some damage, right? All right, let's go to another game. And we have 2 lands here too, but I like it better because we have the ramp piece and we can tap for whatever mana we need. So let's keep this going. Let's go ahead and draw for turn. Rishkar is a great card to have here. So let's go ahead and play the Forest and cast the Implement of Ferocity. It's kind of a cantrip-y card that we can cash in later, which will be nice. And turn 2. Turn 2, we'll play the Overflowing Basin, cast the Incubation Druid, and this way, next turn, we can sacrifice this to put it on the Incubation Druid, especially if we could draw another land. We can cast our commander and then do that. That's pretty much ideal, if not anything else. So next turn we don't get the land, unfortunately, which is rough. We could play Eorith here to, you know, make it so that we can have multiple triggers next turn. I think if you're worried about protecting your commander, maybe you played this deck a few times against your pod, you might want to protect your commander. So I think I'd keep it Eorith out, and we'll go there. Turn 4, we're really going to start popping off, even though we only have 3 lands. Now what we're going to do is we will tap 1, 2, 3, and cast the commander. And then we will go ahead and untap Incubation Druid, and when you target that, our commander will trigger. And we'll get an island for it, which is nice. And then we can... we can tap Incubation Druid to add a green, so we can do that. But I think we'll go ahead and first in Fleeting Distraction, right? When we just played Nadu, so we can target that, and so commander trigger. We get a free forest, which is perfect, and we draw a card. And then we will tap the forest, sacrifice the Implement of Ferocity, and just go to town. So right now we're generating so much value, and we are doing great. So this deck is very fun, very fast, right? But not super oppressive. So it's gonna be very good to play in your groups, and I hope you have a fantastic and fun time doing it. That's gonna be it for the deck tech today. Really appreciate you guys checking in, and let me know in the comments below, like I said, what you would add to the deck, what decks you're excited from Modern Horizons 3 to build. Lord knows I'm gonna keep making some deck techs about it. I'm so excited for the new set. Check out the link to the deck in the description below, and make sure you like and subscribe if you like the content. But otherwise, y'all have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.